Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Gearing Up. I know it has been a while since you've heard me say that. It's been a while since I've said it. I'm happy to be here, and wow, it has been almost a year since my first. Hell, by the time you guys hear this, maybe it's been a year. But the last time I uploaded a new episode was February of 2021. An episode that I want to say I recorded in December. I don't know. My dates are off. But, anyways, welcome back, guys. I'm finally back. I'm back to it. For those that are new, welcome to Gearing Up. This is the Everyday Carry podcast where we talk about all kinds of stuff. Usually it's gear centered, but every now and then I will change it up a little bit and do something different or completely unrelated, just if I find a topic compelling enough. But yeah, I'm glad to be doing this again, and I'm super thankful for everyone that has sent me a message and said, "Hey, where's the podcast? When's it coming back?" All of that stuff. So I'm going to answer all of the questions I've gotten over the past few months and give you guys some context as to what's been going on, and just catch up. This episode. This episode sort of has two things that I want to accomplish, right? So the first is let's catch up because it's been so long. What's been going on? Why did I just stop uploading? What happened? And in addition to that, the second thing I wanted to accomplish is I wanted to go through some of my favorite purchases for gear. So even though I wasn't uploading the podcast, I was still very much looking at knives and buying knives and other gear. And so what I wanted to do was I wanted to go through sort of my top purchases of 2021, some of like the greatest hits. So, without anything else, let's just jump into it. So I don't remember all the dates exactly, but 2020 and 2021 were very weird years, I think, for everybody, right? So, I was striking a balance between work and home and life and family and doing this and taking pictures and all of that stuff. And, for no good reason other than just not even burnout, but just I didn't have any motivation. I guess it's burnout. I don't know. But yeah, I mean, I stopped posting and I just didn't want to do episodes anymore. I didn't want to talk to anyone. I didn't want to talk to you guys. And it wasn't anything personal. There wasn't any one event that like triggered, shutting everything down. But, at the end of the day, it was, I have to prioritize what makes me happy and what I enjoy doing. And I just got to the point where I didn't enjoy taking away not just the 20, 30 minutes, an hour, talking into this mic, but all the extra time, all the planning, all of the editing, all of the, if you guys have listened to the episode that I was just recently on with Tom, shout out Notorious EDC on his podcast. We talked about like this is a full-time job. And it very well can be. And I got to a point where I was pretty efficient. I was kind of just churning them out. And, aside from guests, and scheduling just got so wonky with, my day job and, sort of getting back to the office. It was a little easier when I was working remotely because I could carve out, an hour in the middle of the afternoon, and that was fine. But now I don't have that luxury. And so what it turns into is, now I'm stealing time away from the other things I want to do, my wife, my kids, and just things like that. And so it came down to, hey, I'm not going to make any more until it's fun again or until I really get that itch. And that itch went from a week to a month to 6 months to, like I said, almost a year. And loving podcasts has not changed. I still consume a ridiculous amount of content. And in that time, like I said, Tom started his show and he's got 3 or 4 episodes out now. And so I've been enjoying getting, this type of content back into my listening rotation. But, it just got to the point where I had to put a stop to it. And so here we are. I promised it would come back, and here I am, and I'm looking forward to uh, putting out some more content and getting some episodes out there that I think you guys will really enjoy. I've got some sort of guests lined up, and I've got a couple ideas for some really fun shows, and um, I've also got, I don't know, 20, 30 episodes sort of drafted and ready to record just solo, so there's plenty of content. So don't, you know, I was going to say, don't, be mad at me. I know it would probably be really easy to be mad at me if this was something you loved. And like I said, there were tons of people that shot me messages of encouragement and really wanted to, hey, when's it coming back? When are you picking it up? And that means the world to me. I mean, that's an amazing thing that folks care enough. That was obviously the goal of this is I wanted to put some content out there and hopefully some folks liked it. But yeah, I mean, I didn't want to put any pressure on myself to do something that I wasn't in 100%. And so here we are. I took a long break and I'm back. It feels weird to say that, but it's been a long time. Now, over the last year, let's talk about what's changed. Well, not really a whole lot. Uh, my oldest is, I have two kids. For those that are new, I have two boys. And my oldest will be 5 in a couple months. And he started school. He goes to like a preschool now. And that was wild for us. And my youngest of the two boys, he is about to be 2, so he's like a year and a half right now. And he's just at such a fun age, and he's a big fan of me. So that's the older one always runs to his mom, the younger one always runs to me. So the last year has really been filled with day job, which has kept me super busy to the point where coming home and sitting in front of a computer for even longer just sounds nuts. But that's a good thing. I think being that busy and having that workflow has helped me. And anytime, my God, I absolutely hate it when we have COVID scares at work. So I work in a really small office out in the middle of nowhere, and the few people that I even come close to take it very, very seriously, which is great. So I can trust them that they're being safe and I'm safe, but even being in a small office in a small town in South Texas, like it still gets to us. So when we have COVID scares, and it starts running through the office, like it's the worst, because then I have to work from home and that throws me off my routine, and here we are. So I try to stay sane with that. But yeah, I mean, work's kept me busy. Obviously, the boys have been super fun. They're at a fun age. They're finally starting to get along. The younger one is always like the older one. With the older one, not such a fan of the baby coming in and taking all the attention. So yeah, it's been wild. And in the last year, not a whole lot has changed as far as like my hobbies and what I'm doing. I'm trying to spend a little more time out on my workbench, out in the garage, working on knives and gear and stuff, just tinkering. I've got a blast cabinet set up now. I've got an anodizing set up now, and I've got, all kinds of stuff. So it's been really fun to sort of explore that, and I've had some great help along the way. Shout out to John Brown, Scoopy Loops, to Casey Lynch. He's been an amazing friend and an awesome influence on doing some of this stuff. And then, of course, Tom, Notorious EDC. I mean, he has been pivotal in encouraging me to get back into this and, branching out there, doing more. And it's awesome that he's kind of taken his knowledge and started to share it with me. So that's really it. I mean, listen, I wish I had some crazy story or some awesome updates. Like, in the last year, I don't know. I don't even know. Listen, life is boring. So, I hope that doesn't disappoint. But, yeah, I mean, that's where I've been. That's what I've been up to, and I'm looking forward to sitting down and doing more of these. And I think I miss just the cathartic experience of just venting for 10, 20, 30, 40 minutes, whatever it is. And I can get kind of long winded. So here we are, right? Um, Man, what else? I don't want to ramble, but I also don't want to leave anything crazy out. Yeah, I mean, this is pretty much it. It is. I'm recording this on Wednesday night, January 12th. So just for context, whenever you guys hear this, we just got done with New Year's and Christmas, and the boys had a blast, and it was amazing. And so I rolled into 2022 with a big long list of here's the episodes I want to do, here's the people I want to talk to, and here are sort of some goals that I've set. And the only thing left to do was sit my ass down, hit record, and start talking. And so here we are. I feel like I've said here we are 9 times, so I apologize. But that's pretty much it for the catch up. I mean, that's where I've been. That's what's been going on, and that's kind of why I took an extended hiatus. I didn't hit 100 episodes proper. I think on the feed there's 100 episodes, but some of those are re-uploaded, older content, so it doesn't really count. I think this will be officially episode 93. I'll have to double check that, so if I'm off, apologies. But here we are. One last time. That's what's been going on. That's sort of what to expect. I think I went through just about everything, and before we jump into my top EDC of 2021, I just wanted to touch on sort of some plans for the future. So I've done a few things. I have set up a Patreon for the show. I'm not going to push it really hard until I have a few of these other things sort of lined up. But there are some things that I want to do, some things I want to invest in with regards to the show. And doing this stuff, I've already got most of the equipment, but there's some stuff that I want to grow and expand, and in order to do that, support from the community is key. So I've set up a Patreon. I've also set up a merch shop through Etsy. So like there's gonna be some ways to get in and support the channel, either through Patreon, and I'll have a couple different tiers, and I've got some plans for some exclusive content and user input, or listener input I should say, and some Q&As and things like that, specific to Patreon, if there's enough interest. But if there's not, no worries. We'll continue to do it as is, and expand it whenever the time comes. And then, the merch, sometimes throwing $3, $5, $10 at a Patreon and not really getting a whole lot for it kind of stinks. I do see Tom doing some giveaways once he reaches a certain number, so I may steal that from him and implement some giveaways to promote it. But in lieu of Patreons, I've got this merch shop set up with some sort of print-on-demand designs and stuff like that, where you guys can go in, and I've priced them about as cheaply as I can, and where I'll still make a couple bucks, but there's not really, I'd have to sell quite a few of them to start thinking about quitting the day job. But the point being, there are a couple of different ways that you guys can support the show. Obviously, listening, sharing, engaging is support enough, and it was for 92 episodes. But if I want to take this thing seriously and I want to grow and continue to put out content and continue to sort of push the quality and the consistency, I gotta take those steps. So I wanted to make sure, like, I have notes right here to actually mention this stuff so that I don't forget. Because, oh god, man, I would forget this stuff in episodes past where I was rambling and then I never mentioned it and it never went anywhere. So those are things that I'll explore more a little bit later on, but sort of laid the groundwork for them already. And then one other thing that I plan on doing, I just ordered some inexpensive but useful equipment today to do some streaming. So yeah, I was mentioning it to my coworkers. What are you streaming? What kind of games are you gonna stream? Look, I'm not gonna set up Twitch and start uh, throwing Apex or Animal Crossing more likely on there. But no, the goal in the equipment that I got is, capture card and a dummy battery for my camera and a few other little things. I'll be able to set up my camera to stream proper for things like YouTube. So to do like a YouTube live or Twitch live or wherever I end up finding sort of the best fit. But I really want to incorporate video. And like Tom and I said in his episode, my episode on his show, adding that workload is a little crazy, but I think I've kind of got some things in mind for how to minimize it. And if I'm doing a live stream, there's not really a whole lot of editing going into that. So I'd like to do some more live streams where you guys can jump on and sort of interact in real time. And so that, video is sort of a second tier priority, but live streaming the episodes or conversations or whatever, whether it's a 5-10 minute stream or an hour stream of just back and forth and talking, if the demand is there, then that's what we'll do. But streaming is on my list, and maybe a video element, whether that's you guys looking at my ugly mug for however long, or the guests that I've got lined up, if they're willing and want to do a Zoom call with video recorded. I want there to be a video element at some point. So yeah, I mean, that's all the housekeeping I needed to do. I'm sorry if this was not as like fulfilling, or if you had something in mind where like, oh my God, Greg got his arm cut off and couldn't hit the record button anymore, and that's why he's not. No, it's nothing major. It's nothing crazy. It's really just like life kind of happened, and I just didn't have the time or the energy to carve out. And that stinks. I'm glad that I'm back to it, and I'm hoping that this time around I won't have to take any super long hiatuses. But anyways, let's jump into my top gear of 2021. Now, this is not so like I originally was like, let me do a top 3, right? And top 3 of 2021. I have 3 knives, and that's it. We're done. And I didn't want to limit it to knives. I didn't want to limit it to just 3 things. I didn't make a ton of EDC purchases in 2021. Sort of like taking a step back from the podcast. I took a step from, buying stuff in the hobby, but there were a few things, especially from some creators that I really care about and want to support. And so anyways, I wanted to walk through. I wrote down like 4 or 5 things. So for knives, I bought, I think 3 knives. I probably bought 5 or 6 knives, but I said a couple of them were cheap, sub $50, just fun little things to fidget with, and then I passed them on. But the 3 that I bought with some real intention, that have been absolutely phenomenal to carry. So in no particular order, the first one I got was the GEC 25. That's the Great Eastern Cutlery 25. It's a single blade, sort of a spear point. What am I going to call it? I guess it's a Barlow. I don't know. I like the traditional knife fans are probably yelling at me if there are any listening. I don't know anything about traditional knives and slip joints and all of that. I don't. What I do know, and if you listen to Tom's podcast, you know that I love the GEC 25. I have a tattoo of it on my forearm. To me, it is peak traditional knife design. It is so simple. It is so clean. The blade shape on it's fantastic. I have the unicorn ivory scales, and they're just absolutely gorgeous. I caught it at the right time. I didn't pay. Listen, I didn't pay retail for it. Anyone will tell you like GEC knives on the secondary, it sucks. But I found one that was like new in tube from 2017, and this was in 2021. So it's a 4-year-old knife. Still had the brown paper that it comes wrapped up in the tube, and there wasn't a single mark on it. So it was absolutely gorgeous. And I actually got the tattoo first, and then I went on the hunt, and I figured I finally found one. And again, it was so like getting it was sort of daunting because I'm in this traditional knife world where I have no business being, and then you learn like, oh, the 25 kind of hard to find. Oh, the 25 in unicorn ivory also really hard to find. Um, and I say it's really hard to find. It wasn't hard for me to find. I came across two of them. Both were the same price, but one was new in tube with all the, I mean, hell, the factory oil was still on it. So, um, yeah, that's the one I went with. The other one had been used and abused, but now mine probably looks like that one because I've been using it and carrying it literally every day since I got it. So I've had it for probably 6.5, 7 months. But it is my favorite traditional knife. It is gorgeous, and I knew once I committed to the tattoo that I had to get my hands on one. And I never held one or handled one before. Again, it was all about aesthetics for me on that one. And it's a traditional knife, so it's not like you're, oh, the drop shut action, or like, no, it's a folding pocket. It's basic. So I absolutely love the GEC 25. It's staying in the collection for life. I got to give it to one of my kids. I need to go find another one so that both the boys have one. But my wallet says no right now because $200 plus, easy. But yeah, that was a fun knife to hunt down, and I'm glad I finally got one. And now when people ask me about my tattoo, I can then just turn around, pull it out, and be like, look, see, it's this knife. Like, how cool is that? Anyways, it's kind of weird, but cool too. The next knife I purchased, shout out to Ben Peterson, Ben Banter's NAFs. You guys have heard Ben on the podcast before. Great friend, super cool guy, and just an absolutely phenomenal dude in the community. And I love the banter, but those that know me know I like small knives. So the GEC 25 is a small knife. I'm a big fan of the McBee, and the banter was phenomenal. I loved it, but it fell on the larger side, and it's not a large knife by any stretch of the imagination. But when I found out that Ben was making a baby version, I was so excited, and so I don't know if I pre-ordered it or if I just bought it when he dropped them on his site, but I bought it direct from Ben, and it came with all kinds of swag, and he signed the blade, and it is just like I don't feel bad using and abusing it because it's a $70-ish knife. I don't know, it's somewhere around there. But it is super comfortable to use. It's small. It's compact. It is not threatening when I bust it out in, the office. Nobody cares. I mean, they don't care anyways because I'm the knife guy. But, it is. The ergos on it are great. The blade on it is great. It's an absolute win. I ended up dyeing the scales because the blue was, Ben, don't hate me for this, but the blue was a little loud. So I muted it down to like a super deep burgundy, and then of course Ben dropped an OD green and a maroon baby banter a couple weeks later. But no, it's been a great little slicer. The action on it's incredible, and again for the price point, you can't beat it. So I'm a huge fan of the baby banter as well. And then the third knife on the list, and my most recent acquisition, is one from my friend Joseph Vero. You guys heard me talking about it on Tom's podcast. It is the Vero Neuron. And so the interesting thing about the Neuron is it's a double detent. So it's a smaller Neuron, or it's a smaller Vero. I get all of his model names mixed up, so I'm not even going to try. But I'd wanted to check one out forever. And when I saw the Neuron, I was like, oh, size-wise, that's sort of right up my alley. And then it was a double detent, and I was like, oh, that seems fun. And so I went and pre-ordered it and waited however long I waited, and it finally came in. And I gotta say, they absolutely live up to the hype. The double detent took about 20 minutes to get used to. I kept, the first few times I flicked it open, I kept reaching across the liners for, or the scales, I should say, for that lock bar, and it wasn't there. And now, it is just so fun to fidget with. Anyways, and it's just a hell of a slicer too. Love the blade shape on it. I'm gonna call it a Warnie, although there has been some debate on whether or not this is a Warncliffe or a sheep's foot, or a Warnfoot or a sheep's cliff, or a cleaver cliff. I don't know, but I call it a Warncliffe because it's got that, straight across bevel. There's no, I don't know. Anyways, huge fan of the Neuron. The material, I have the natural micarta one, and so it's just taken on this really nice patina. I have the black wash blade and hardware, and I like a darker finish on my blades because when I start to use them, that working finish, it just kind of blends with all the marks and stuff you get from use. So, huge fan of the Neuron and the GEC25 and the Baby Banter. All three have earned a permanent spot in the collection. And I mean, really, from a fidget factor, like the Banter and the Neuron are great. From a pocketability, like the GEC and the Baby Banter, and even the Neuron. I mean, it's small too. So they're just, if you like smaller knives, those are three that, there's kind of one there for everybody. But I really think that those are ones worth checking out. Jumping into, and I'm getting long here. I wanted to stick under 30 minutes, so we might go just over. But a few other sort of honorable mention, not knives, but like other EDC purchases that were, top notch for the year. Pouches and Ranger Eyes blew up. I think Tom and I mentioned that in on his podcast. But I got a hold of a Garage Built Gear Mighty pouch with brown waxed canvas inside and out, and it is just, it's aged so well in the couple months that I've had it and carried it and used it. And I've experimented with carrying it as a wallet, carrying it as, an add-on in a pocket, and carrying it just in my bag every day. And it kind of lives in my bag every day now, but it's in the front pocket. It's where I keep my most used stuff. And that front pocket of my bag used to get super cluttered, and now it's the Garage Built pouch and my AirPods, and that's it. It keeps everything from turning into a chaotic mess. So I'm a huge fan of that. And then the other thing that another thing I wanted to mention as sort of a favorite purchase of 2021 is just Ranger Eyes in general. Everyone is making Ranger Eyes. Tom's been crushing it with Ranger Eyes. Casey Lynch put out Ranger Eyes. Peter McKinnon, Pete's Pyro Life, put out some Ranger Eyes. And, shout out RE Club on Facebook and the Pouch Boys and just that whole, community. I mean, patches have been a thing forever. I remember ages ago having a friend in EDC that was also into patches, and he was like, man, some of these patches are a few $100. I'm like, that's nuts. But now it's sort of becoming prominent, and we're seeing all of these makers make, I think Tom made the point that, it's just a small little collectible, a little nod to the maker and something that's easy and affordable for everyone, and so on and so forth. And I have absolutely loved collecting some of these little, sets of Ranger Eyes from folks. I've got John from Brassworks sent me some Ranger Eyes as well, and just such cool little pieces. And it never. I usually leave the Mighty pouch out on my desk, just because I keep a couple of frequently used things in it, and it's almost always a conversation. Somebody walks up to ask me something. Oh, what is this? What is this? And it's, what are these little patches? What does this mean? And it's cool because they know I'm the knife guy and they know it's knife related, but it helps me to tell a story, and get a conversation going. And, it's just one other branch in this weird little hobby. So, Ranger Eyes have been so fun to go after and purchase and just watch that market segment. I don't know what you'd call it, but just that piece of the community just grow has been super fun, and some of the cool things that people are coming out with. I'm a huge fan, and I want to keep seeing it. The other thing, and the last thing on my list that I had to mention as an absolute favorite purchase for 2021 was a really cool tool from the guys over at Novel Carry. Shout out to Novel Carry. They've been a sponsor on the podcast before. They're a huge supporter of the show. They're a huge supporter of the community. And they put together a ton of input from their followers, folks that are in the community, me, you, whoever. And they designed this tool from the ground up. It is I would say it's a pry bar first, a bit driver second, and a bottle opener third, and a ruler fourth, and a hex wrench fifth. And guys, don't kill me if I'm leaving something out. But it does all kinds of cool stuff. But I will say that I have not used it to pop a bottle. I've used the pry tip on it. It's fantastic. And I have used the bit driver on it more times than I can count already. They absolutely nailed it. And so the little slide compartment to hold the bits is like super fun to fidget with. When I got started working on anodizing, it was one of the first things I took apart. I anodized that little slide cover, like a magenta, and so now it like pops and it's super fun. But it's a cool lightweight titanium. I think they have a stainless version too. It's a bit chunkier, but the titanium is super light and you know it's a bit bulky for just a pry bar. Like if I'm comparing it to a fulcrum or one of the all access passes from Lynch, like those are skinnier, but they serve fewer purposes. They're not as beefy for a reason. And I absolutely love like the you know, when you're using it as a bit driver, I think the one downside to the fulcrum, like it's a functional bit driver, but I think the heft of the slide kick is nice to have because if you really need to get some torque, having that extra girth, for lack of a better word, sorry guys, is really convenient. Not, you know, and again, shout out to Joseph. I absolutely love the fulcrum. I was singing its praises in my episode with Tom. But yeah, I really think that the guys at Novel Carry knocked it out of the park with the slide kick. So, huge shout out to them. I know it sold out really quickly, and they've been dropping little bits and hardware kits and all that stuff over the last couple weeks. So, really great to see them succeed as well. So that wraps up my best purchases for 2021. I purchased, 3 really cool knives, the Baby Banter, the GEC 25, and then the Neuron from Vero. I got the Slide Kick pry bar multi-tool from Novel Carry, and that thing is absolutely killer. I got the Garage Built Gear pouch, and I got more Ranger eyes than I know what to do with. Shout out John from Brassworks, shout out Pete's Pyro Life, shout out Notorious EDC, shout out Casey Lynch, shout out John Brown, Scoopy Loops. Like all of you guys creating some of the coolest Ranger eyes deserve all the hype. So yeah, that's a wrap, folks. Please do me a favor. If you guys enjoyed this in any way, shape, or form, jump on my Instagram at gtdunn, drop a comment on my most recent post, share it in your stories, share it with your friends. Make sure you're subscribed. This podcast is available anywhere you get podcasts. Stitcher. Why did I start with Stitcher, the most random one? I'm so sorry, guys. The podcast is available on Apple Podcasts, on Google Play, on Spotify, and anywhere else you could find podcasts. It's there. If it's not, if you ever go try to listen to it and you can't find me, please let me know. You should be able to type in Gearing Up. You should be able to type in Everyday Carry Podcast. You should be able to type in gtdunn, and it should show up. So go subscribe, share it with your friends, and thank you guys again for continuing to shoot me messages of encouragement when I wasn't doing the episodes, and for tuning in now. Make sure that you go follow me on Instagram so you guys will see when I have new episodes up. Make sure you guys subscribe, and if you want to go check out the link in my bio, you can check out the Patreon with all the details that I've put in so far. You can check out the merch shop. I've got some fun, goofy shirts on there, and then I've also got some Gearing Up merch and just some general everyday carry stuff. So, yeah, that does it. I will be back in a week with another episode, and we're going to do this again. I hope you guys have enjoyed it. I hope you guys are well. Thanks so much for the continued support, and we'll chat soon. Oh, and by the way, I don't have an intro on this, and I don't have music yet, because I don't know. I just didn't want to go get my other computer and pull the files off. So next episode will be a little bit more polished, I promise. Otherwise, that's all I got for you. Have a great day. Do something nice for somebody. Thanks again for the support, and we will talk soon. Peace.